This is a day I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years. Every once in a while, a revolutionary product comes along that changes everything. In 1984, we introduced the Macintosh. It didn't just change Apple, it changed the whole computer industry. In 2001, we introduced the first iPod. It didn't just change the way we all listen to music, it changed the entire music industry. Today, we're introducing 3 revolutionary products of this class. The first one is a widescreen iPod with touch controls. The second is a revolutionary mobile phone. And the third is a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. Now I'd like to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's the iPhone. You know, in a few weeks, it's going to be iPhone's first birthday. We shipped our first iPhones on June 29th. And it was an amazing intro, certainly the most amazing one we've ever had. And iPhone has had tremendous critical acclaim, best invention of the year, and I think it's widely believed that this is the phone that has changed phones forever. So, that's all great. That's all great, but the thing that makes us the happiest is that users love there's something in the air. What is it? Well, as you know, Apple makes the best notebooks on the planet. The MacBook and the MacBook Pro. These are the standards in the industry by which competitive products are judged. Well, today, we're introducing a 3rd kind of notebook. It's called the MacBook Air. Now, what is the MacBook Air? In a sentence, it's the world's thinnest notebook. So, what does that mean? Well, we went out and looked at all the thin notebooks out there. Most people think of these, the Sony TZ series. They're good notebooks, and they're thin. Right? This is what they look like. Side view there. We looked at all of them out there and kind of tried to distill the best of the breed of all of them. And, you know, they generally weigh about 3 pounds. They're, in this case, in the Sony's case, they're about 0.8 inches to 1.2 inches thin. They're wedge shape. This is quite representative. They compromise, though, to get the weight down on things like the display. They have an 11 or 12-inch display, most of them an 11. They also compromise on the keyboard. Instead of putting full-size keyboards in, they make miniature keyboards. And they don't run them as fast as they could because their thermal envelopes don't support faster processors. So we looked at this and we said, what do we like and what do we think is a compromise here? We think the weight's a good target, 3 pounds. But we think there's too much compromising to get there. Too much compromising on thickness, too much compromising on less than a full-size display, less than a full-size keyboard, and we think you could put even more performance in one of these products. So, let's take a look at the thinness first. This is that Sony product. Again, one of the best in the field. 1.2 inches down to 0.8 inches. This is the MacBook Air. 0.76 inches down to an unprecedented 0.16 inches. Now, I want to point something out here. The thickest part of the MacBook Air is still thinner than the thinnest part of the TZ series. Okay? We're talking thin here. So, it's so thin, it even fits inside one of these envelopes that we've all seen floating around the office. And so let me go ahead and show it to you now. This is it. Let me take it out here. This is the new MacBook Air, and you can get a feel for how thin it is. Yeah, there it is. Look at this. All right. Amazing product here. Full-size keyboard, full-size display. And this is what it looks like. Isn't that amazing? So, let's go explore this in more detail. So again, it fits inside one of these envelopes. It's that small. This is what it looks like. Incredible. It's the world's thinnest notebook. You open it up. It's got a magnetic latch, so there's no hooks or things to catch on your clothing. And it's got a full-size 13.3-inch widescreen display. And the display is gorgeous. It's an LED backlit display. And not only does that save power, and not only does that give a really bright display, but it's instant on the minute you open it. On top of the display is a built-in iSight camera for video conferencing right out of the box. And you flip it down, there is a full-size keyboard. This is perhaps the best notebook keyboard we've ever shipped. It's a phenomenal keyboard, and it's full-sized. And with the ambient light sensor, it's also backlit. We've got a very generous trackpad, which is great. We've also built in multi-touch gesture support. Now, as you know, our current notebooks have some gestures built in. We've taken that even further. When you go to Preferences in the MacBook Air, you'll actually get to turn on all sorts of other types of gestures, and there's actually videos in there to show you what they are. So let me run through them with you now. You can double tap, and instead of moving the cursor around, you can move a whole window around, right? Just a nice time saver. So that's great. Here's another one. When you're in a photo, a large photo, you want to pan around. You can pan around with just two fingers like this. Another nice time saver. You want to rotate a photo. This works in iPhoto and all the other photo apps. Just rotate like this. Again, we've taken some of these things we learned in the iPhone, and now we're putting them in our notebook computers. Here's another one. If you want to go between photographs, next photo, just take 3 fingers and pan right. Previous photo, pan left. And you want to zoom, you can pinch in and out. All right? Isn't that great? So, multi-touch gestures. Pretty amazing. And again, you can see how beautiful and thin this product is. Now, how did we fit a Mac in here? How did we do it? I'm still stunned that our engineering team could pull this off. Well, let's look at the bottom. Take off the bottom, and there's three things in here. It's a battery, hard disk, and the electronics. On the hard disk, we went to 1.8-inch hard drives. We've shipped tens of millions of these in iPods. We know them well, and they're great. And so the MacBook Air ships with an 80-gigabyte hard disk as standard, and there's an option of a 64-gigabyte solid-state disk if you'd like it. These are a little pricey, but they are fast. But the real magic is in the electronics. This is a complete Mac on a board. Let's take off the cooling system. That's a complete Mac on this board. Now you can think, well, okay, what's so special about that? Well, this is how big the board is. It's really tiny. And to fit an entire Mac on this thing was an amazing feat of engineering. And we didn't compromise on performance. MacBook Air uses the Intel Core 2 Duo. This is a really speedy processor. It's what we use in all of our other notebooks and our iMacs. 1.6 gigahertz standard, and there's an option to go to 1.8 gigahertz if you want. Now, we've got a great relationship with Intel. And both companies are engineering driven, and they both love to challenge each other. And Intel's got enormous amounts of technology. And so when we were building this product, we asked them to consider something. This is their amazing Core 2 Duo chip, right? It's a screamer. We said we want that chip in this product, but we need to go to smaller packaging. The same die on a smaller package. It sounds easy, it's not. They spent invested a lot of engineering to create this for us. This is the same chip in a package that is 60% smaller. And it's one of the reasons we could build MacBook Air. And so I'd like to say thank you to Intel. And it's my pleasure to invite the CEO of Intel, Paul Otellini, on stage. I'd like to give him a round of applause. Good morning. Thanks for coming. Thank you. We've been working on this product for a while, and I just didn't want to miss today. So thank you for having me. 2010 turned out to be the year of the iPad. And let me give you a few statistics on that. We sold almost 15 million iPads in 2010. And remember, that's just 9 months. That's from April through December. 15 million iPads. And it generated a little shy of $10 billion in revenue for Apple. That got off to that fast of a start. As a matter of fact, many have said this is the most successful consumer product ever launched. But we haven't been resting on our laurels. Because in less than a year, we're going to introduce today iPad 2, the second generation iPad. So, what is iPad 2? What have we learned? What can we improve? Well, it is an all-new design. It is not a tweaked design. It's not got marginal improvements. It's a completely new design. And the first thing is, it's dramatically faster. The graphics on this thing are wonderful. So A5 is really quite an achievement, and is going to give us something that's up to twice as fast on CPU performance, up to 9 times faster on graphics, and the first iPad was no slouch. We built in some cameras for video. We've got a rear camera out the back, and we've got a front-facing camera out the front. Now, having built in all of this stuff, one of the most startling things about the iPad 2 is it is dramatically thinner. Not a little bit thinner, a third thinner. Gone from 13.4 millimeters down to 8.8 millimeters thick. It's dramatic. And for those of you that have iPhone 4s, the new iPad 2 is actually thinner than your iPhone 4. It's lighter as well. Going from 1.5 pounds down to 1.3, it's really thin. And it comes in two colors, black and white. We're going to be shipping white from day one. And to give you some scale, this is what it looks like. Again, you can just pick this thing up. It almost floats. You would think that we would have to give up some of the iPad's legendary battery life. But our engineering team found a way, and we have the same legendary 10-hour battery life as the original iPad, with all of this extra stuff in it, and yet dramatically thinner. And again, that's over a month of... For 2010, we're going to take the biggest leap since the original iPhone. And so today, we're introducing iPhone 4, the fourth generation iPhone. Now, this is really hot. And there are well over 100 new features, and we don't have time to cover all of them today, so I get to cover 8 of them with you. 8 new features of the iPhone 4. The first one, an all-new design. Now, stop me if you've already seen this. Good morning. Thanks for coming this morning. Thank you. Thank you. Hey. Thank you very much. My partner in crime is here today, Steve Wozniak. Stand up. Come on. Well, thank you for coming. We've got some really cool stuff to show you this morning. And so I first wanted to start with an update of Apple Retail. You've all seen our Fifth Avenue store, but we've been opening some amazing stores lately, and I wanted to just fill you in on 3 of them. The first one is in Paris. It's our second store in Paris. Our first was in the Louvre. This is near the old Opera House, and it's this beautiful old building that we've restored and made a gorgeous store in. It's got a great skylight. And it's just a fantastic building. We spent 18 months restoring it, and here it is with people in it. And it's just a fantastic store, and Apple users in Paris are loving it. So we're really excited about our new Paris store. We're also really excited about our second store in China, which we opened recently in Shanghai. It is a 40-foot high glass cylinder. These are all curved pieces of glass, single pieces 40 feet high. It's kind of a landmark in glass engineering. And it's a fantastic store. Here it is from the front, and here it is down in the store. And here it is with people in it. And this was opening day. And here it is in the greater environment of Shanghai. It's really a fantastic location, and we think it's going to do really well. So our second store in China. The third big store we've opened recently has been in London. We got the whole building here right in Covent Garden. And we've got another large store on Regent Street, but this is our second really large store in London. And it's a beautiful, again, a beautiful old building that we've restored right in the heart of Covent Garden. And it's fantastic. A lot of restoration was required, but it's a beautiful store now. And you can see the old and the new together work beautifully. And here it is with people. And so this is open, and it's been a great success so far. All three of these stores have been. And we now have 300 Apple retail stores. Matter of fact, Covent Garden was our 300th store we've opened. And some of us remember when we opened our first one, and wow, we've come a long ways. 300 stores now. And we're in 10 countries, 10 different countries. We're soon going to open our first store in Spain and make it 11. Now, remember when Macworld used to get 30,000 people coming to it here in San Francisco? Well, we've got single days in our stores now where over 1 million people visit. Not every day, but we are now poking through 1 million visitors a day, several days a month. So that's amazing to me. We teach one-on-one classes, especially to people that are new to Mac. And we are now teaching 80,000 of those one-to-one classes a week in our stores. And of all the folks buying Macs, over half are buying their first Mac. So our stores are bringing a lot of new users into the Mac family. So that's a brief update on our retail operations, but things are going well. Now, I want to talk about iOS. iOS is our operating system that powers our mobile devices, and it's been a revolution in both touch and apps. Touch user interfaces were completely different before the iPhone, and mobile applications were completely different before the iPhone. It's been a revolution in both of them. And for us, it's made these three products possible: the iPhone, the iPod Touch, and now the iPad. So, how many iOS devices have we shipped since we launched the phone just a few years ago? 120 million. 120 million. Now, people are throwing around a lot of numbers as to how many of their operating systems they're activating per day. We are activating a little over 230,000 iOS devices per day, and that's new activations. We think some of our friends are counting upgrades in their numbers. If we counted upgrades in our numbers, they'd be way higher than 230,000. But we think the most appropriate way to count them is just new activations, 230,000. And we think we're ahead of everybody. And the App Store, iOS apps, over 6.5 billion apps now on the App Store. And that is 200 apps every second are being downloaded. 200 apps every second. Oh, there's another 200. It's incredible. So, 6.5 billion apps have been downloaded from the App Store. Amazing. We've got over 250,000 apps on the store, and of those 250,000, 25,000 of them are now iPad apps. So the iPad apps are just going like this. Today, we're introducing iOS 4.1, the next release of iOS. And it's got some really cool stuff in it. So let me go through what it's got. First of all, a lot of bugs have been fixed. Proximity sensor bugs, Bluetooth bugs, iPhone 3G performance bugs, all the bugs that we get mails on. We think we've nailed a lot of them, and we think you're going to be pretty happy with it. Secondly, we've added a really cool thing called HDR photos, high dynamic range photos. And I'll explain that in a minute. But that's going to be standard in iOS 4.1. The ability to upload HD video over Wi-Fi to YouTube and other places built into 4.1. TV show rentals in addition to purchases. And Game Center is now making its debut for end users. We think this is going to be a pretty big deal too. So let's start off with high dynamic range photos. What are high dynamic range photos? Well, when we take a photo, a lot of times we get it where it's blown out with light. You can see it washed out with this bright light coming in over the building there. Well, when you turn on HDR, just by tapping on that button there, when you take a photo, it actually takes 3 photos in rapid succession. It takes one normal exposure, what it thinks is the appropriate exposure, and then one that's underexposed and one that's overexposed. And it combines these 3 with some pretty sophisticated algorithms to produce an HDR photo. And it's pretty amazing. And we keep both the normal photo and the HDR photo in the Photos app. So you can just compare the 2 of them and use the one you like. But it's really remarkable in some photos. And let me show you a few other examples. Here's another one where you can see how HDR has pulled out the sky and pulled out the detail in the foreground. Here's another one where you can see it's trying to pull out the shadow in the background. You can see her legs pulling them out of the shadows as well. Take a look at this one. You can't even see the pavement, the one on the left. And look at how it's pulled all that out from the one on the right. And one final one again, you can see the sky and a lot more detail in the background using HDR. So for some photos, it's pretty great. And it's built into iOS 4.1. Another thing we've built in is Game Center. And Game Center is both APIs for developers to build into their apps, and it's an app called Game Center right on the phone. Game Center is all about multiplayer games. And it allows you to challenge your friends to multiplayer games, and they can challenge you. And if you don't have any friends, it'll auto-match you with people. So it's pretty great in that way, too. And you can compare scores, and you can discover new games your friends are playing. So it's pretty nice. So as an example, this is Thor, and Thor can take a look at the games that they've played with other people. And Thor is one of my 73 friends, let's say. I've got 73 friends, and I've got 19 games that are multiplayer games that work with Game Center, so I can take one of those games and, as an example, Angry Birds, I can look at leaderboards, I can look at achievements, and everything I've done with my friends to see how I'm doing. So here I'm inviting 2 friends, Appleseed and Thor, and I'm going to get matched up with Game Center with 2 other players of roughly equal ability, all automatically. Or if Thor wants to invite me to play a game, this is what it looks like. Right? Thor's invited me, I can decline or accept. So that's Game Center. Now, again, you've got to see what this can do. It's pretty exciting. And there's a new game that's going to be coming out later this year that we saw that's really remarkable from Epic Games. And it's my great pleasure to invite on stage Mike Capps, the president of Epic Games, to show us this amazing new game using Game Center. Thank you. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. I'm really thrilled to be here to reveal our very first project at Epic for Apple mobile devices. It's powered by our award-winning Unreal Engine 3 game technology, which has powered countless hits for console and, of course, our Gears of War series. To demonstrate, I want you to meet Donald Mustard, our creative director. Donald?
Hi, everyone. Today we're introducing a new game currently in development. It's codenamed Project Sword.
So Project Sword is a gorgeous action-packed role-playing adventure, and it's filled with epic sword battles.
Now everything that you're seeing is running in real time. This isn't a movie, and I'm controlling everything you're seeing right now. I'm in the Citadel, a vast environment filled with enemies, treasure, and the weapons that I'll need to take down the legendary God King.
So if your jaw is not on the floor, it should be. Take a look at this place, right? This is a gorgeous 3D world, and it's filled with intricate levels of detail that you just don't expect to see on a phone device. Plus now we've got Game Center, so we have dozens of unique achievements to unlock. We've got worldwide leaderboards so you can compete with your friends, and it's really easy to find someone online to play with, and I'm going to show you.
And honestly, with Game Center, it's just as easy as that. Mike's going to send me an invite, and I can accept it. Now, as a designer, what's awesome about Game Center is that all the social integration is done for us.
So I'll be playing this massive, brutish Titan here, and Donald's going to be playing this wimpy little knight. You can see the character detail is amazing. We're using the same lighting and motion captured animation techniques you see in top CG films.
Now, our multiplayer uses two unique control interfaces, allowing for more hardcore gamers to be matched up with more casual players. My attacks happen just like you'd think, by swiping directionally across the screen.
So my interface is a little less caffeine-powered. I'm just dragging different moves onto the screen, for example. Here I'm going to drag, let's see, how to open my boot, say, onto your face.
Right, lucky hit. Now, if I'm good, I can dodge and even parry attacks, putting the Titan into a mode where I can unleash like a powerful combo, unlocking an achievement.
Great, and now everyone in the world will see that on Game Center.
So you call me a wimpy knight. Well, I'm going to take the gloves off. Let's see what you got.
All right, little man.
Well, I might be little, but I'm really, really fast. So guess what? Now this is happening. And you know what they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
So this is what you get when you take a designer on with his own game.
Yep. Thanks.
So we're really thrilled about this game, but I'm even more excited to take this technology and put it into the hands of iOS developers all over the world, because I want to play the games that they come up with next. Project Sword's going to be available this holiday season. It'll be out on iPod Touch, iPhone, and iPad. I think you guys are going to love it. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Excellent.
It's on a phone. That's pretty remarkable. Well, that's a little peek into Game Center. So those are just two of the many things in iOS 4.1, and it's going to be available next week. It's for iPhone and iPod Touch, and it's going to be a free download via iTunes. So look for it, iOS 4.1 next week. Now, I've got a little surprise for you today. It's a sneak peek at the next iOS release, 4.2. 4.2 is going to come a little later this year, and it's all about iPad. It's bringing everything to iPad. iOS 4.1, with its multitasking, its folders, Game Center, HDR photos, everything you saw here, all of it to iPad. Wireless printing. We're adding wireless printing to iOS. And we're adding something really cool called AirPlay, which we'll talk about a little later today. So let me give you a little feel for printing. So let's say we're in Pages on the iPad and we want to print. And we push the Tools button here with our finger, and we get up our tools and we see there's Print now. And we push Print, and we get to select our printer. We get the number of pages, very, very simple, and we can just say Print. Now, again, select the printer for the front office. So we're going ahead and we're printing. Whenever we're printing, down below, if we bring up the multitasking bar, we see that it's put Print Center right in the front and shown us how many jobs are printing, in this case 1, and we can go examine it. We can even cancel it if we want to. So that gives you a feel for how simple printing is going to be in iOS, and it's very powerful. Now, what is AirPlay? Well, you know what AirTunes is. It's streaming music over Wi-Fi to an Airport Express space station so you can listen to music all over your house from your mobile device. Well, we're changing the name of AirTunes to AirPlay because it's not just going to be music anymore. You're going to be able to stream audio, but also video and photos over Wi-Fi to other devices. And we'll get into that a little bit later. So let me just give you a brief demo of iOS 4.2 running on an iPad. I've got my iPad here. And let me go ahead and just go ahead and swipe over here and let me launch Pandora. And I've got some Jack Johnson music here. Let's go ahead and play that. And let me bring up the multitasking bar. There it is. And let's go to Mail. So we're multitasking here, listening to Pandora in the background. And there's Mail. We've got multi-threaded Mail here. So again, 2 messages from Gary Dunn. And here's one talking about a Gibson West Montgomery guitar. So let's go take a look at that. Now we've multitasked over to the browser, and here we are on the web. Right? Again, we can just go over here and stop and start our music. Very, very simple. So let me show you folders now. Let's go ahead and make a folder with our news apps. So I can just get into jiggle mode here, and I'll just put NPR on top of Wall Street Journal, and it's made a folder called News right here, which I could rename if I want to. And I'll go ahead and put the Financial Times in there and put Editor's Choice in there. And I can even put this down on my dock if I want to. And now I've got a news folder right there with my news apps in it, right on my iPad. So all of us that use iPhones know and love all these features. And we love them, and we can't wait to get them on our iPad. So when is 4.2 coming out? It's coming out in November. And it's going to be a free update for iPad, iPhone, and iPod Touch, with all those new features in it. And so we couldn't be happier about the progress of iOS. 120 million devices, over 230,000 activations of new iOS devices per day, and 2 new releases of iOS, one coming out next week, the other coming out in November. And we're really, really happy with iOS. So that's the iOS update. Now I'd like to get on to the entree today, iPods. This is our music event where we unveil the cool music products we've got lined up for the holidays, and today is no exception. So let me talk about iPods for a minute. How many iPods have we sold? 275 million iPods. Now, one of the secrets to the iPod's success is that even though the iPod has a very high market share, we've never rested on our laurels. Every year, we try to improve iPods, make them even better for our users. And this year, we've gone wild. Because we have all new iPods, all new design for every single model of iPod. It's really exciting. It's the biggest change in the iPod lineup ever. So, let's start off with the iPod Shuffle. This was our first generation shuffle. It's based on the concept that shuffling is a wonderful way to listen to your music. And we could make a really affordable player without a display that just shuffled your songs and was super easy to use. And it's been a really big hit. The second generation was even better. It was dramatically smaller. It had a clip. It had these ring buttons on it that was really easy to use. The third generation, we took off the buttons, added voiceover so you could listen to your songs, and added playlists. Now it could talk you through your playlist, and you could pick a playlist. But people clearly miss the buttons, right? So they loved the buttons of the second generation, but they loved voiceover and having playlists on their iPod from the third. So what are we going to do? Let's make the best of both. The new iPod Shuffle. It's even smaller than the second generation. It's got buttons, voiceover, and playlists. And it's really small. So, Of course, it's got the clip, so it's instantly wearable. And it's really nice. Just clip it on and go. And it's got some great features. Again, it's small and wearable. It's easy to use with the buttons. You never have to look down at the product to change its volume or go to the next or previous song. It's got playlists. So you can ask it to speak the playlists. It'll speak through just like the third generation iPod Shuffle, and you can pick a playlist that you want. So you can have multiple playlists on your iPod Shuffle. Genius mixes we're adding. It's been a very popular feature on the other iPods. And, of course, voiceover. So it'll tell you the song or artist you're listening to, playlists, Genius mixes. It even tells you when the battery needs charging. And 15 hours of music. 15 hours. This little tiny thing. This is what the packaging looks like. It's really cute. And it comes in 5 different colors. And it sells for just $49. So, that is the new iPod Shuffle. We're just getting started. So now, let's look at the iPod Nano. This is the first generation Nano. It was a breakthrough, the first high-capacity flash-based music player. And it was a stunner when it first came out. The next generation, we took it to extruded aluminum. It's even better. The third generation, the fourth generation had an even taller screen on it. And the most recent generation, an even taller screen. Now, how do we make this better? The iPod Nano has been super popular. What can we do? Well, we'd like to make it smaller, and we'd like to make it better. Well, to make it smaller, there's only one way to do that, and that's to eliminate the click wheel. And there's only one way to eliminate the click wheel, which is to make it touch-based. And there's only one good way to make it touch-based, and that's multi-touch. And so that's what we've done. The new iPod Nano has multi-touch. And it's really small. It's very tiny. So you can hold it just in your hand like this. It's amazing. And super easy to use, and it's so small, we're able to put a clip on it too. So it's instantly wearable. So, multi-touch user interface. It's 46% smaller and 42% lighter. In other words, it's almost half as small and almost half as light as its predecessor. That doesn't happen too often. It's got a clip, so no more armbands when you want to use it for athletics. It's got volume buttons, hard volume buttons, voiceover, FM radio, Nike Plus, pedometer, all sorts of stuff like that. And it works in 29 different languages. So we're really excited about this. It's got 24-hour audio playback, 24-hour battery life. And so take a look at some of the screens. So you've got a lot of different screens. You've got the home screen. As you flip through, you've got radio and photos and podcasts and settings, and then all different ways to access your music, songs, albums, composers, genres. You've got Nike Plus. You've got voice memos. And this is what it's like when you scroll through it. You can get these nice big letters to find out, where you are. That's what albums look like. It's great to see the album art. Here's some more. The first two are radio up there, the built-in FM radio. Got a clock. We've got one of our board of director members is going to clip it onto an armband as a watch. Photos, and again, the home screen. So this is what it looks like. Let me show you how it works. So I've got one right here.